Hey guys, from time to time I end up getting these indicators, or like in this case these dial calipers, nice brown and sharp dial calipers, but they've got an issue. The crystal just falls right out of them. This is either the wrong size crystal. I mean, I think it's actually the wrong size altogether, so 'cause it really is loose. Anyways, sometimes what happens is these crystals start out life flat, and then they're installed, which forces them to have a curve. And then that curvature trying to go back to flat is what makes these sides push out and create the friction fit inside of the bezel. The point is, once these get to the point where they can just pop out like that, there's really no way to fix it other than to replace it. I mean, you could try and glue it, but that's really a hack job, so you don't want to do that. You're going to get glue on something you don't want to get glue on. So it came to my attention that since I've been running into a lot of situations, like I recently just scored, I'll show you here. This is a nice Starrett back button indicator that works perfectly fine, but it's missing the crystal. So if I go to sell this, I'm going to have a hard time getting any takers on it unless I sell it for like way dirt cheap. Because most people realize that, hey, if they have to send this out to have a new crystal put in it, it's going to cost them probably twice what I would charge them for the indicator with no crystal in it, if not more. So I decided to get a crystal press. And I looked around on the internet, what was out there. A lot of cheap imports out there. Every once in a while, a decent old used one from a jeweler shop will show up on eBay. And if it has a lot of the attachments that go with it, the prices on those can start running pretty high. And I decided to take a chance on one of the dirt cheapo import ones. So I went through, and with shipping issues being what they are lately, kind of hit or miss, I decided to opt for a seller that had a really cheapo one that said that they were stateside, and also that had a pretty good rating as far as the timely shipping goes. So what I ended up getting was this one here. So if you guys like what you end up seeing here in this video, no affiliation to me, this seller, other than selling me this thing, did nothing for me. So anyways, so it's $14.87. I think it says now it's 20% off. So maybe it was even a little bit more than that when I bought them. I don't know. It's available in either blue or black. I don't remember what color I opted for, but they shipped me the blue, which is fine by me. I also looked at just collections of these dies, for lack of a better term, thinking that, well, maybe I don't even need the press, because I could probably use a small arbor press or something along those lines. I even had an idea that I was going to use. I even remember that around here somewhere I have something called a meat press, which is a little antique press that was supposed to be used back in the day for squeezing the meat goodness, the nutrients out of a piece of food, out of a piece of meat, and then that liquid would be fed to sick people. Basically, somebody who was so sick that they couldn't chew or digest meat. The idea was you'd take a piece of meat, stick it in this press it down, and get the essence. Anyways, I thought, hey, I could use that thing. But in the end, I found that the people who had sets of these for sale on eBay were pretty much selling the sets of those for about the same as what this seller was selling this whole thing for. So this is just really cheap cast metal. And I don't know if that's aluminum or not. I'm guessing not. Oh, it might be, actually. Actually, this whole thing might be cast aluminum, which would explain why it's so light. Yeah, I think the only steel in this thing is maybe the spring. So it looks like all of these, depending on what side you screw on, well, the point being is that you can get two sizes out of one of these dies. So essentially what you get is you get 10 of these dies that have a concave shape to them, giving you 20 sizes total. You also get this flat block, which I believe this might be for pressing watch backs on after battery replacement. The other thing is this could also act as just a plain old like anvil here. And then you've got this one here. This must be just a pusher. So maybe this is for popping a watch back on. Although, there's really not enough travel here for this to happen. Guess it depends how thick your watch is, but it seems a little... So these crystals right here are from Penn Tool Company. I ordered them off of eBay, but they actually come from Penn Tool, and they are listed as actual part numbers for the crystals for the Brown and Sharpe calipers. These are 99579-31s is the part number apparently. But I think these are just probably a generic crystal that they source from somewhere. So the good news is I got these for $4.40 a piece. The bad news is that they charge you like 8 something shipping and the tax. It ended up being like $20 and change to get 2 of these shipped to me. I mean, this is what they came in this box right here for these 2 crystals. So and the thing is, I use enough of these. I could have ordered 5 or 6 and then it would still be the same shipping price and it would make it more palatable, so to speak. But I had never bought these before and I wanted to make sure I was satisfied with them. So if I like the way they work out, then I'll invest in some more down the road. So these are, I guess they call these pre-curved, and they claim that I guess you don't even need a press to put these in because of the fact that they are pre-curved. So I'm not sure exactly how much of a curve there is to them, but I'm going to use my press anyways. No, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. These are not pre-curved. I did see an ad for pre-curved ones that they said you could just kind of stick in with your fingers. The other type of, these are plastic. The other type you can get are these mica ones, where they're actually like a glass. Those are for like watches and that have a flat face, that there's no convex curve to them. I don't think you can flex those much at all before they crack. I don't know. I did get some of those in for some other indicators that I think had flat faces. So maybe we'll mess with those at some point. Alright, so I've got the die that fits perfectly right in here. And so I'm just going to drop this in. Screw this die on. What I'm going to do to make my life easier is I'm going to bring this up and align it, and then press down and bring the whole thing down onto the base anvil there. Yeah, it's not really working out too well. Oh, actually it did. I thought that wasn't going in, but it seems to have. Yeah, it did. Okay, great. I'm going to use one of these just as a standoff in case that's not high enough to fully. I want to make sure that's fully seated, I guess is what I'm saying. Oh, you know what? Could just rotate this up, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Get this in a better position for my hand. Caliper jaws are in the way if I do it that way. There we go. Oops. What the heck just happened there? Oh, does that stud push out? Oh, that stud can push out, I guess, from the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to look under magnification to see if that edge is the same depth all the way around. Yeah, I think that's fully seated. So, okay, so what has happened is this caliper now will not move. I can't open it. I'm not going to force it because I now know exactly what's happening. Because because for whatever reason, this did not get a convex shape. What's happened is the center of this is pushing down on that dial. I can't tell, but what may have happened is it may have actually gone concave. In other words, when I push that in, it may have actually caved in this way. But that's not good, obviously. Well, now I've really gone and done it. I've got a problem here because I've got to get this crystal back out. And I know that this whole part right here, this silver part right here, this comes off with the bezel as an assembly. I could pop this whole thing off. The problem is, before you pop this off, you're supposed to remove the hand, so the needle. So you use a puller to pull that. So you're supposed to take this crystal off, remove the hand, and then this whole assembly can come off if you need to work on the inside. Well, I can't get the needle off with this in there. And if I try and get something at the edge there and try and pick this out, I know I'm just going to destroy that new crystal, which I just, like I said, I just paid like $4.40 for. So the only thing I could think of is maybe, if I'm lucky, if I can get a suction cup to stick to it and pull it up. I kind of doubt it. The only thing I've got that's close to a suction cup is this this valve lapping tool. This suction cup on this side's cracked. I don't even know if that's gonna, yeah, that's not even gonna stick. So all I've got going for me is this cup on this end. Yeah, big surprise. I can't even get that to stick. Let me try and wet it. Not really able to develop enough suction to pull it up. Oh man, I'm gonna end up having to destroy this brand new crystal just to get it out. That's really a bummer. I can't think of any other way to do this other than to wreck this crystal. Well, let's try this. See how bad this ruins things. It's a hot glue stick. I see plenty of fluid in this thing. It's never failed me before. Why is it going to be difficult now, right? There's gas coming out. The igniter just stopped working. Uses a piezoelectric effect to create the high voltage spark. Alright, this glue stick separated from that blob of glue, but the blob of glue is on there pretty good, so maybe I can just dig into it and pull up. Jesus. Oh, look, it's moving up because I just was able to move the dial. Thinking I overheated the glue the first time. There we go. Yeah, see, now it works. Problem is, I've destroyed this crystal in the process. Son of a gun. Good news, the calipers are unharmed. So interestingly enough, I just unpacked this second crystal that was in this package of two. And the second one had a protective coating on it, which makes more sense to me. So I don't know why one of these crystals didn't have a protective coating on it. I'm wondering if it was the wrong size or something. So I just pressed this one in, and seems to be working perfectly. So I'm going to leave this protective coating on here just for good measure. But that seems fine. No problem. Staying in like it should. So I am going to contact Pen Tool and ask them whether or not they want to issue a refund for the one of these two or ship me another one. Alright, so looks like the press worked fine on this one. Well, next up I'm going to put a new crystal on this Interrapid. This is a model 312B-1. The dash 1 is the larger diameter face, which I think it's 38 millimeter. Mark Rutkowski over at MR Tool, he's a professional technician, and he was kind enough to send me the crystal for this one. So on the Interrapids, the interesting thing about these is that this actually unscrews. So what you got to do is, see, it's made to rotate obviously, so you can adjust the 0 point, right? But on the back here, there's actually a couple of little holes. There's one right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this, just happen to have this scriber point handy. I'm going to stick this in there, okay? And then as I rotate this, now that's going to stop this ring from being, this backing ring from being able to continue to turn, and then I'm going to unscrew this. What's nice about these is you don't have to take the hand off and the subdial or the face. Just unscrew it. Okay. So the crystal on these pops in from the front. So the temptation is, especially if you don't have a crystal press, would be to just take the replacement crystal, which is flat, and try and push it in and pop it in. And the problem is that when you properly install it, the top should have a dome shape to it. In other words, it should be convex, and the concave side should be facing the dial. If that's the case, when this is flat like this, the diameter of this is actually slightly larger than the inside diameter here. In other words, the fact that that crystal is trying to go back to its flat position is what actually causes the outside edges of the crystal to push on the inside of the bezel here and grip it. All right. So what we want to do is we want to have some way to actually force the crystal into the concave shape or the cupped shape, and then lower it in here, so to speak. But what we're going to do is we're going to raise it up. So what we do is we take our press, so we take this anvil off, and we're going to look at our bag of tricks that came with this, and I'm going to look for one of these that fits closely to the inside shape here. So I want one to be able to pass completely through here. So that one will work. And then I'm just going to use this part right here as the base. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take this now, and this is the top side facing up, and I'm going to put this down over that like that. Then I'm going to take the crystal, which the paper should be on the side facing out. So that's the paper side. I'm going to have that facing up. So now I'm going to bring this down. I want this centered. Alright, so alright, so that's not going to work. So I guess what I need to do is maybe use this, and I'll put this on top of it. And this goes on here like this. So I want to kind of center this. So now as I push down on this, what's actually happening is that crystal should be changing shape. And it's not. I can't get this crystal to cup, and I'm thinking the problem is I don't have a dome-shaped anvil to press against. So before I render my final verdict on this cheap import crystal press, I wanted to try one more thing. Dealing with the flat replacement crystals that need to be pushed into a dome shape before they could be inserted ended up being a total fail with this crystal press. All I did was end up ruining the replacement crystals that I ended up getting, because the amount of force that I needed to exert on this to try and get them to flex ended up being enough to actually be able to push these brass pieces out of the plastic, and then they would come in contact with the that's actually sitting proud of the plastic there, and actually ended up putting an indentation in the plastic and just ruining them completely. So I decided to try one more thing. I ordered a one off of eBay that is a what they call a double dome design watch crystal. This one is 38.5 millimeter by 2.5 millimeter by 1 millimeter. And what this has is this already has a curve to it. Now, supposedly from what I read online, you can actually push these in with your fingers and actually make them work, but I'm not convinced of that. But what I am going to try and do is I'm going to try and take another shot at fixing this Starrett 645. So what I did was I selected a cup that's just the right size for this 38.5 millimeter crystal. I put the flat anvil back on there, and I want to see whether or not I can just get this to pop in. And again, that doesn't seem to be wanting to go. Yeah, just push through again. Didn't come in contact with the crystal that time, but still doing the same bad thing, which is that has pushed through, or this did. I don't know which one. I'm just stacking these up to see if I can get a little bit more leverage. I'll just pushing that bottom one right out. It's ridiculous. I was able to push in one side here with my fingers. Actually, that's almost all the way in. Pretty sad when I'm just using these things as a something to push on this evenly, or somewhat evenly. more high spot. I'll tell you what, that actually looks pretty good. That now appears to be fully seated. No, alright. So, that looks pretty nice actually. And this was a dirt cheap $1.95 38.5 millimeter. It was $1.95 with free shipping from China. So it took a little while for it to come in. But I think it looks great. And you know, this was a indicator I picked up in a deal where the person was trying to get quite a bit of money for it originally, even with that crystal missing. But I ended up getting it fairly cheap because of the fact that they hadn't been able to sell it, and that was because the crystal was missing. Now this thing's all ready to go because this indicator works perfectly. So the verdict on the crystal press, I would say, yeah, you know, if I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have bothered buying it. I'm into this thing, what, for 12 or 15 bucks with free shipping off of eBay. This is one of those dirt cheap deals. That being said, these are probably going to prove to be useful in the future because I think I'm probably going to maybe order some more of these domed crystals for some of my indicators. And just having these plastic cup shaped parts to help push on them instead of trying to push them in with your fingertips is better than, nothing, I would think. So if you're in the market for a crystal press to do your own crystal replacements on your indicators, what I would recommend you do is what I was contemplating possibly doing and ended up going with this instead, which is holding out for the occasional used one that comes up on eBay, which tend to be more of the higher professional grade type units that you would see in a jeweler that he would use on watches and stuff. So occasionally those will come up, and the thing you got to look for is you got to look for one that has a whole bunch of these that are still in good shape, because this was the weak point on this crystal press. As cheesy as this actually presses just fine. It's these that fail. Specifically, that brass insert moves within the plastic, causing a problem. Could I drive those out and put some epoxy on them and maybe, but it's not worth it. So all right, that's going to close out this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.